Hey everyone, this is Caly with you today. I am creating a Panda Pals wiper card. I know a lot of you love interactive cards, so I am happy to share this with you today. I'm going to do some light coloring. I know a lot of these images, like pandas and snowmen, are white, but don't skip out on the coloring process because it really does make your images that much more special. And let's be real, everything has a shadow and has some bit of color in it. So these pandas I am shading with a little bit of warm gray. I'm using just a few lighter colors and just shading the darker areas in the lower bottom left corners of each image just to give it a little bit of a shadow. And then on the clouds, again, I know they're white, but there's always a silver lining, right? So I'm adding a little bit of blue just to give it a little bit of color in the blue sky. And then for the sun, I am adding a little bit of a light orange and then blending that out with some lighter shades of yellow. I'm going to speed through the rest of the coloring because I feel like a lot of it is more straightforward with leaves and trees. So again, coloring the darkest color into the nooks and crannies, blending out with the medium color, and then the lightest color with the last step, and going back with medium and dark if you need to add more contrast when the colors are blended out a little bit too much for your liking. So once I color all of that, I'm going to die cut it and set it aside. And then I wanted to show you what the pop-up wiper card components dynamics looks like. So we've got 3 little pieces. There is a wave border, but obviously we're not creating an underwater scene. So I'm just going to use that grass border and the little wiper component, the little mechanism piece. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. So to create my panels, I've got 2 panels. This one here is your card base. It's going to be 5.5 by 6.25 inches. We're making an A2 sized card, so the 5.5 is the height of the card, and then we've got 6.25 inches because we are scoring twice and folding them over like a Z fold. I'm going to be scoring twice later on, so I wanted those folds to be 1 inch apart, and that's why I've added 2 inches to the 4.25. So say you didn't want it that wide and wanted 3/4 of an inch, you would add 1.5 inches to your 4.25 card base. I hope that makes sense. All right, so we're going to be ink blending the background here with the cloud stencil. I'm using Berrylicious ink. We're ink blending before we score so that we can get some seamless ink blending all the way across without those score lines being in the way. Now for the green card portion, I am using Field Day ink, and I'm ink blending as opposed to using cardstock because cardstock looks a little bit too bold sometimes, especially for a scene like this where I'm using really soft colors. So that's why I've chosen to ink blend. Right now I'm just stamping a few grass blades onto my grass portion just to make it stand out a little bit more and give it a little bit more texture and interest. All right, so now it's time to score those panels. Sorry you can't see the top of my ruler, but I score at 4.25 and then again at 5.25. Again, I wanted those to be 1 inch apart. And so you want the score lines to be opposite of each other. So if you score the back panel on the right side, you'll want to flip your accent panel and score on the other side. So I've put the score lines for my grass on the left, and then I see there that it's a little white where it folds over. So I'm just adding a little bit of green color just to make it a little bit more consistent. Okay, so now for the wiper mechanism, and the way I remember it is the flat edge goes and lines up with your grass portion or your wave portion or whatever you decide that to be. And then you're going to fold it like an airplane. And the longer part of this wiper mechanism is going to be at the top. So you're going to fold that down again like an airplane towards you. And then that longer portion has an arrow on it from the die, and that's the portion that you're going to stick your image to. Okay, so we've got that little ear that we are going to stick our mechanism to the grass panel on. So I'm going to adhere that as close as I can to the top of my grass because I'm not using any acetate. I don't want my panda to be flying in the air. I just want him to pop right up out of the grass. So I want it as close to the grass as possible, and we'll be gluing our panda to that wiper mechanism piece. And then I see that there is an overhang because I didn't make my grass portion long or tall enough, and that's okay. I'm just going to go ahead and trim off the edge there where it's hanging off. There is still enough of the wiper portion there that I can adhere my panda to without compromising the mechanism piece. So this works out. So you see there the mechanism piece is adhered, and once you fold it over, nothing overhangs underneath that grass blade where your card should end. So now I'm going to adhere that panda down. I'm just adding some glue at the tip of his feet, and that's exactly where we want him to be. And then to make him more sturdy, I'm just going to add glue to the back of him. I've die cut a second piece that I did not stamp or color, and I'm just going to create a backing for him just to make him a little bit more sturdy. This is also going to ensure that that panda secures itself to that mechanism a little bit better. Alright, so now I'm just playing around, making sure that panda does not extend over the bottom of the card, just like before with that mechanism piece. So there, that's perfect. And then we have our little wiper mechanism all put together, and we just need to start assembling our card. I'm adding adhesive to that right side and adhering it to that fold, and then doing the same with the left side, just that 1-inch portion. Once I adhere down the right side, I can open up my card and add adhesive to the left side. And this also makes sure that all your folds are perfect and everything is lined up well. And now we're just attaching our images. I've gone ahead and added some adhesive to that right side of the panda tree. And then I'm adding foam adhesive just to give that sun and cloud a little bit more dimension. So that's our simple scene, and now I need to work on the sentiment. I decided to emboss the sentiment in white over black cardstock, so I'm just going to heat set that and then adhere it to the bottom of the card. And that finishes my fun wiper card for today. And just now I thought maybe I could have put a rock there and his friend could have been hiding behind a rock and popping up from behind it. But I just thought about it, so we'll save that idea for another day. And that's a wrap. I hope you enjoyed this one. Thanks so much for stopping by, and I appreciate you watching. Have a great day. Bye.